शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपारकरुणासिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगतपितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। Hello everyone, let's review shloka number 10 in Soundarya Lahari. Sudādhārāsāraihi charanayugalāntarvigalitaihi prapañchaṃ siñchantī punarapi rasāmnāyamahasaḥ avāpya svāṃ bhūmiṃ bhujaganibhamadhyuṣṭavalayaṃ svamātmānaṃ kṛtvā svapiṣi kulakuṇḍē kuhariṇi. That is the 10th verse in Soundarya Lahari. Before we take a look at the meaning of this 10th verse, I would like to remind us all of the 9th verse. So in the 9th verse, we saw the para form of Devi, which is the Kundalini, and the verse spoke about how Kundalini raised from the Mooladhara and all the way up to Sahasrara, and it was said that she secretly unites with her husband in the Sahasrara. So just as a reminder, in our body there are 72,000 nadis. 3 nadis are very important out of that, and the central shaft is called as Sushumna nadi, that is along the spine. So there is Ida and Pingala on both sides of it, and the Sushumna nadi is where all the chakras are all residing along this. And at one end of the Sushumna nadi, the Kundalini energy resides. All of us are capable of the entire potential of this universe because it's that ultimate reality that's residing in us. But we all do not know that and do not utilize it, and that energy is lying dormant at the base of the spine, and that's what we call as Kundalini, and that is on one end. And it's believed that at the top of the Sushumna nadi, at the other end, we call that Akula, and that is considered to be Shiva. So when the consciousness raises, the energy is raising from the Mooladhara all the way up to Sahasrara, and it is considered that Shiva and Shakti are uniting at the Sahasrara. That's what the 9th verse said. So that was the Kundalini energy rising. So now in this 10th verse, we are going to see what happens when the Kundalini energy rises, and then what happens to that Kundalini energy after that. So that's what we are going to see in this verse. So let's look at the meaning. So now Devi, as the Kundalini, has gone all the way up to the Sahasrara, and she has met with her husband Shiva there. That is the starting point for this verse. Charana yugalantar vigalitaihi. Charana means foot. Yugala means a pair. So Charana Yugala means 2 feet. Antar means between. Vigalitaihi, flowing. So when she reaches up to the Sahasrara, from between her feet, something is flowing. What is flowing? Sudha Dara Saraihi. Sudha means nectar, Amritam. So Saraihi means essence. So the essence of nectar, and that is flowing as a Dara. Think of Dara as a waterfall. So it is a downward cascading of the nectar. So it's like the nectar is flowing like a waterfall. From where is that flowing? Rasāmnāyamahasaḥ. Rasam means the essence of nectar, and Naya in Sanskrit implies means, a way to get something. Think of it as source. Mahasaḥ. Mahasaḥ means greatest. So it's flowing from the greatest source of nectar. What is that greatest source of nectar? In Sahasrara chakra, just right below that, there is a minor chakra called Soma chakra. It is also called as Amrita chakra. So when the energy rises all the way up to Sahasrara, then there is this nectar that is in the Soma chakra that is released and that is cascading like a waterfall. So that is the effect of that consciousness going all the way up to Sahasrara. So you can see that we call that chakra as Soma chakra, and all of us know Soma means moon. So in general itself, if you see, we consider Soma or moon as a source of nectar, because moon is responsible for vegetation. So we all know everything grows in the night, right? And because of that vegetation is what we get food, and that food is what sustains life, or that food is what gives life. So amrita is always something that gives life, and you must have all heard amrita means it gives immortality. That means it keeps the person young, rejuvenates, and gives immortality. And that is the nectar that's flowing from Sahasrara that rejuvenates the individual. And there is also amazing wordplay here, that rasāmnāyamahasaḥ. The rasāmnāyamahasaḥ, we said it means the Soma chakra that's in Sahasrara. But also, another way to look at rasa, rasa also means emotion. And if you think about the Navarasa, we've seen 9 emotions, right? So rasa means emotion. Mahasaha means great. And Amnaya means the Vedas, the scriptures. So it is also the highest emotion that is described by the Vedas. So what are the Vedas saying is the highest emotion possible? The highest emotion possible is the bliss, the contentment. And if you look at all of our scriptures, what does it say? When the Atman recognizes its oneness with the Brahman, at that point, the person is completely identified with that Brahman, then they experience the state of heightened bliss, perpetual happiness, eternal happiness. So that is the highest thing that our scriptures are saying, and that's what happens when that flow happens. The Sudhadhara, the nectar is coming, and the person experiences the highest bliss. This is why full moon is considered very special in ours. So if you look at the full moon on the Paurnami day, the side of the moon that is facing the earth fully reflects the light of the sun. And that's why we are able to see the entire moon. So the moon always represents our mind. And when the light falls on it, the sun's light represents knowledge. So a full moon is representative of a mind with the full knowledge. And that full knowledge is the understanding that Brahman and the Atman is one and the same. And it's not just simply understanding, it is the experience of that Aham Brahmasmi. So that is what that full moon signifies. That's why for us Paurnami is very special. And we say that we should meditate upon Devi in the moon on Paurnami day. And that is also the same concept behind the Ras Leela or Rasa Krida that happens on Sharad Purnima. So if you see in the Rasa Krida, Krishna represents that Brahman, that ultimate reality, and each Gopika represents that individual mind. That's why if you see in Rasa Krida, each gopi will be with one Krishna. It is not one Krishna and several gopis. Every gopi is with that Krishna. That shows a mind that is completely identified with the Brahman. And that is the essence of what the Vedas say. And that is the same nature of this particular nectar. So rasāmnāyamahasaḥ has a wordplay there. Prapañchaṃ siñchantī. So now from between her feet, there is the cascade of this nectar that is coming from the Soma chakra. And what does it do? Prapañchaṃ siñchantī. Siñchantī means sprinkling. It is like watering the plants so that they can grow. So that water nourishes the plant and it helps it grow. Like that, this particular nectar nourishes. What does it nourish? Prapañchaṃ. As we all know, prapañchaṃ means universe. Actually, it's called as prapañchaṃ because it's prapañchaṃ. Pra means coming forth. Pancham means the 5. The 5 always represents the 5 elements: air, water, fire, earth, ether, etc. So, prapañchaṃ, something that came out of the five elements, something that is built out of the five elements. That's why it's called as prapañchaṃ. And if you see, it's not just the gross world that is made out of the five elements, it is also the human body that is made out of the five elements. What is in the macrocosm is also in the microcosm. So that's why we saw Mahim Mooladhara. So the Mooladhara chakra represents the earth element. So this body is also made out of the five elements. So it nourishes the body that's made out of five elements, all the 72,000 nadis, all the chakras, etc. And it is said that when a yogi reaches this state, this is why they are able to continue their sadhana for a very long time without having to take food, air, water, etc. That's what this does. And you can also see there is a wordplay here. So this is a waterfall. And if you all remember the way the waterfall works, when you go near a waterfall, there's always all these water droplets that are sprinkling, right? And then what happens? They all merge back into the waterfall again. So here, the prapañchaṃ siñchantī is also nicely depicting how the one becomes many and how the many go back into the one. So that is again very descriptive of the state that they are describing here. And this particular state is called as nirvikalpa samadhi, complete identification with the Brahman and going beyond the body and mind consciousness. And when someone reaches that state, then they experience this bliss and ecstasy and ultimate peace and eternal peace. So that's what is being described here. So now, after reaching all the way up to Sahasrara, this nectar has started flowing down and it has nourished that individual, and also it's like a waterfall. So that means it's cleansing everything that is accumulated, and that means the buddhi has become really clear and has reached a level of consciousness that's one with that ultimate reality. Now what happens after that is done? Punarapi, once again, avāpya means reaching, svāṃ bhūmiṃ, svāṃ means your own, bhūmi literally means ground, in this context abode or your own place. So now after this Kundalini has reached all the way up to Sahasrara, drenched the whole body with all this nectar, now it reaches back its own ground. What is its original abode or own ground? It is the Mooladhara chakra. So that means the energy is now coming down for that particular yogi. And once it reaches the Mooladhara, how is it? Bhujaganibhamadhyuṣṭavalayaṃ. Bhujaga means a snake. Nibam means like a snake. So we call the Kundalini as a serpent that is coiled. Adhyuṣṭavalayaṃ. Adhyuṣṭa means the number 3.5. Valayam means coil. So in the Mooladhara, this Kundalini is like a serpent that is coiled 3.5 times, and it said that the tail and the tail is in the mouth. That's how it is present in the Mooladhara chakra. So why is the Kundalini coiled 3.5 times very specifically? So if you look at the 3.5 coils, actually they represent the three shariras. So the three bodies, and these three bodies are what determine our particular body mind traits, right? So we are uniquely us because of these three bodies. So they are the sthula sharira, which is the physical body, the sukshma sharira, which is the prana, the energy, the mind, the intellect, and then the karana sharira, which is called as the causal body, that represents the vasanas. These vasanas are the conditioning that we all have, the specific groove that makes us uniquely us. And this is why we behave in a certain way, we act in a certain way. So if you see, even for the same stimuli, each individual will have a different reaction. And where is that stemming from? That's coming from their vasanas. So the Karana Sharira is very important. It drives the Sukshma Sharira and the Sthula Sharira. So that's what happens here. So these three bodies determine who we are. So the entire spiritual path is about moving from this body-mind consciousness into that infinite consciousness. That means clearing this buddhi so that we can actually understand our true nature. That's what it means. So the three coils actually represent the three sariras, and the half represents the need to go beyond the body-mind consciousness. And so only when we move from this limited consciousness towards the higher consciousness, then you can understand your true nature, which is the spiritual path. So that's why it is 3.5 coils. Svamātmānaṃ kṛtvā. Svamātmānaṃ means true form. Kṛtvā means having created or having manifested. So having shown or manifested the true form is coming back to the Mooladhara chakra, which is the original abode, and it is coiled in 3.5 times. Svapiṣi kulakuṇḍē kuhariṇi. Svapiṣi means to sleep. In this particular case, it's not actually sleep. You can think of it as a dormant. Kulakuṇḍē. Kula means the Sushumna nadi. Kunda, as we all know, is a pit. So a hollow at the end of the Sushumna nadi. Kuhariṇi. Kuhara in Sanskrit means a hole. In a hollow space like the lotus stalk. That's what it means. Kulakuṇḍē kuhariṇi. So if we see in Lalitha Sahasranamam, it says Bisa tantu taniyasi. So Bisa means lotus. Tantu means stalk. Or you can think of it as root. So if you look at the lotus stalk and if you open that, there will be lot of thin strings that will be in there. Those strings are really thin that we can't even hold it. So Kundalini is the subtlest form of Devi. So the thinness or showing that she is kuhariṇi, remaining in a hole inside a pit, is trying to indicate the subtlety of that Kundalini. So that's what the kulakuṇḍē kuhariṇi means. So overall, with this verse, what it is saying is drenching the body, which is made of 5 elements, with the essence of the nectar stream that's flowing from your feet. You return once again to your original abode from the Sahasrara. Having manifested your true form, you lie dormant at the end of a kula in a hollow space like a lotus root, coiled like a serpent that is wrapped up 3.5 times. So that's what this particular verse means. So we briefly saw that the state that is described when the Kundalini energy rises all the way up to Sahasrara is called as nirvikalpa samadhi. So nirvikalpa samadhi is a state where the body-mind consciousness is transcended and the individual and the universal consciousness unite. So it is the body and mind that creates the differences in existence, right? Each of us look differently, each of us think differently. The moment the body and mind are gone, then there is no difference. And at that point, the Atman and the Brahman will unite. So this nirvikalpa samadhi is a meditative state of total absorption and bliss. And it is recognized as the highest state of consciousness, the pinnacle of all spiritual and intellectual activity, be it bhakti or yoga margam, jnana margam, that is the pinnacle. And prior to the nirvikalpa samadhi, it said that there is also a savikalpa samadhi. In savikalpa samadhi, the thoughts still exist, but they still experience that bliss. In nirvikalpa samadhi, the thoughts have ceased and it is a total absorption. And at that point, there is absolutely no difference between the knower, what is known, and the act of knowing. So it is a state of complete unity with the divine, and it is a state of oneness, limitless bliss, true ecstasy, and it is very difficult to describe that. And while we are all talking about Kundalini and Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc., Nirvikalpa Samadhi and this raising of the Kundalini energy itself, even through the chakras, is very, very hard to achieve. And this is not something that everybody can achieve. It takes a lot of practice, and only great yoga practitioners Even then, out of them, only a very few can reach that. They have to be a master in order to be able to reach that. People can practice the Ashtanga Yoga and progressively go through these 8 states. And even then, somebody can reach the Samadhi state. But this Nirvikalpa Samadhi is something that occurs spontaneously. So that's not something somebody can practice and hit it. So these are all extremely difficult states to reach. And that's why it's considered as the pinnacle of the Advaita path, and anyone who's practicing, they're trying to reach there. So, with that, we've looked at the meaning of this verse, and let's look at a short story. When we're talking about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it's very hard not to talk about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So, we just said that how hard this Nirvikalpa Samadhi is, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is one who easily reached this particular state. And it's generally said that when someone reaches the Nirvikalpa Samadhi state, where they have transcended the body and mind, maximum they can be in that state for 21 days. Beyond that, if there is no body and mind consciousness, then the body cannot sustain. That means the person will no longer have the body. So that's all. A person can stay in that state only for 21 days, and after that, they've left their body. It is said that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was in Nirvikalpa Samadhi for 6 months. What we will look at is a small portion of his life and how he attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was born in West Bengal, and even from a very early age, very young, even when he was about 7 years old, he had spiritual experiences. Then, when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa became 20 years old, he came over to Calcutta and he became the priest of the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, and he came there to help his brother, and then he became the priest there. So, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has been one who's very open to all sorts of experiences, a constant pursuit of learning. So, he actually has had multiple teachers and in different margams. So, if you look at it, his very first teacher was Bhairavi Brahmani, and she introduced him to Tantra Sadhana. And he's also had experiences in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. He's also followed Christianity, he's also followed Islam. He's kind of followed everything, and so he's been very open to it. So, when he became the priest in Kali temple, this Bhairavi Brahmani introduced him to Tantra Sadhana. And as we all know, Tantram all celebrates, it's a Shaktam way of doing things, and it celebrates Devi, and he happens to be the priest in Kali temple. So he developed this deep desire to have vision of Kali. And slowly he started looking at her as his mother, and that's how he referenced her. Kali is his mother, and he wanted to see Kali. So he was very actively pursuing this sadhana, very diligently doing all the things that he's supposed to do with this deep-seated desire to see Kali. And he was practicing and practicing and practicing, and getting the vision of Kali is not an easy task. And as he was continuing to do it, he used to have these conversations with Kali in the temple. You gave a vision for this person, you came in front of this person. Why are you not coming in front of me? I want to see you. And he kept on doing it. And at the point, this desire became so intense, and not having that desire fulfilled created a frustration in him. So he became very frustrated, and in one day, in the height of frustration, there was a sword in the temple. He took that sword and he was about to kill himself, because he didn't think it was worth living if he was not able to get that vision. So then, at that time, when he was about to do that, it is said that a silver light just filled everywhere, inside the temple, outside, wherever he saw, there was only the silver light. And in the ecstasy of that experience, he fainted. And when he woke up, he realized that he had seen Mother. So that was Mother for him. And this entire experience increased his devotion towards Mother, and he was really into this whole thing. And for some people, this was a great thing, because they saw the Rani who built that temple, all her aides, they saw how he was following the sadhana, and they were all very happy that the God is there, the Rupam there is activated. God is present everywhere, but that is getting activated and awakened in that particular Murti. So they were all very happy. But for some other people, they used to come to the temple and he would take the prasadam and take it near the mouth of Kali and say, "Eat, mother, eat." Or he would look at ladies who are social outcast and he would still look at them as mother and fall at their feet and take their blessings. So some people thought he was very eccentric. Either way, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was in this happy state of ecstasy and he used to frequently think about mother and he would get into that particular state. So one day he was sitting in the temple, and at that time, a monk came into the temple. So this monk is a Naga Sadhu, and his name is Totapuri, and he is someone who's very well versed in the Advaita path. And if you recall, in Advaita path, there is only one ultimate reality, which is the Brahman, and everything else is not real. And so they believe in Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So this entire world, according to them, is an illusion. Therefore, they have no belief in worship of any god or goddess or doing all these bhajans, the puja, etc. Advaitis do not do all of that. Their focus is in achieving that ultimate reality and experiencing that ultimate reality, the Aham Brahmasmi state. So Totapuri is that sadhu, and they're always on the move. They keep going from place to place, and he sees Ramakrishna Paramahamsa sitting in the temple. So he is someone who's been doing this for 40 years. So he's got this experience, and as soon as he sees Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he feels that there is a certain radiance or tejas in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and he feels like he would be a right disciple to teach the Advaita way and make him experience that pinnacle of experience, which is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he wants to teach him that. So Totapuri goes to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and says, I would like to teach you the experience of Advaita, and would you like to learn it? And so Ramakrishna Paramahamsa looks up, and Totapuri is really tall and he is huge and he is majestic, and there is a command and all the sadhana from 40 years, he's like a big figure. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is a relatively thin man, and he has this large, beautiful eyes that's filled with compassion. He always has a smile in his face, but he is really tiny and demure. So he's sitting there, and he's also only 20 years old. So he's looking up, and he's telling Totapuri, I have to ask my mother. Totapuri was a bit taken aback. He thought this is the priest of the Kali temple, and he must be more aware, and he's saying that in order to learn something, he has to ask his mother. But Totapuri said, it's okay, go ask whoever you want, go find out and then let me know. So then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa runs. Where is he running? He is running inside the temple because his mother is Kali. So Totapuri thought he was going to ask his physical mother, but Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was running to Kali in order to ask her. And for him, she was a living, breathing entity. He was having conversations with her. He was able to see her just as he would be able to see any other person. He was able to see Kali. So he went there and he asked her, and Kali gave the permission. So he came out immediately, and Totapuri was still there. And he said, yeah, I will learn from you. And Totapuri was a bit amused, and he said, what did your mother say? And he said, my mother said, you came here only to teach me this, and therefore I'm supposed to learn from you. So then Totapuri said, okay, however it happened, he's agreeing. So then they go, and the first step for anyone to be in the Advaita path is to accept sannyasam. So they have to give up all their desires, and they cannot have any attachments in this world. So sannyasam is the path. And therefore, Totapuri says, if you have to learn this, first you have to become a sannyasi. At that time, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, let's do this in a very secluded place, because if my mother comes to know, the real mother, the physical mother, comes to know that I've taken sannyasa, then she will be very sad. So let's do it in a secluded place. So Totapuri and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa go to a secluded place, and there Totapuri is doing all the rites of acquiring that sannyasam, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa goes through all of that, and now he has become a sannyasi. So then, now Totapuri begins to instruct in the yoga approach, yoga sadhana, so that he can attain that nirvikalpa samadhi. So Totapuri tells Ramakrishna that, there is no other, that is the Advaita Vedanta, and therefore you have to drop all your body consciousness, you have to go beyond all your desire, all your greed, anything you have, and then completely free your mind and focus only on that ultimate reality, the Brahman, and that is the way for you to go through that. And Ashtanga Yoga gives you all these paths. There is Yama, Niyama, etc., in order for us to get through that. So he's instructing him on that path. And so for Ramakrishna, it was very easy to go beyond the body, and he also has no need, greed, desire, etc. So it was easy for him to go beyond the mind as well. But as he is focusing on continuing in this path and focusing on that ultimate reality, what happens? He gets to see the form of mother. And the moment he sees mother, he is beyond himself. He's in a state of ecstasy, and he's just happy seeing the mother. He's talking to her, he's celebrating her, he's happy. So then he realizes that he's not able to go past, and he's trying again and again and again, and every time he tries, it is going back to the form of mother. And at that time, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, I cannot do this. Every time I focus, then I'm only seeing mother, and I'm not able to go past her. And remember, for the Advaita path, the worship of mother means nothing. They do not worship any god. The moment we have said there is a form outside of us, that is Dvaitam. So then there is nothing that doesn't apply to the Advaita principle. So then Totapuri says, when the mother comes, you use the knowledge as the sword and cut the mother into half. And that is very hard for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It is his mother, and he's not able to move past that. He says, no, I'm not able to do that. And he tries again, he's not able to do it. At that time, Totapuri looks around, and there is a glass that's fallen there. So immediately, he takes that glass and he pokes Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in the forehead, right between the brows, and he pokes this glass there, and blood is oozing out. And is saying, now pull your consciousness, all your focus in that particular place, and when mother comes, take the sword of knowledge and cut into half and move past. And so now, after Totapuri did that, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is trying, and this time he is able to go past that form of mother, and he reaches what's called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So now this entire thing has been happening for about half an hour or so. And then Totapuri is looking, and all the signs look like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has reached Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But he wants to check, maybe he's just in full absorptive state, etc. So he wants to check what's happening. So he's waiting for 1 hour, he's waiting for 2 hours, he's waiting for 3 hours. No change in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, is completely in that state. So then he thought, okay, maybe he's in a very absorptive state, and let me close the door and go. And then he comes and checks again, he's still in that state. At that time, Totapuri is completely confirmed that he's reached Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And Totapuri is completely stunned. What took him 40 years through all the sadhana in order to reach, this is a person in very simple 30 minutes to 1 hour has reached that particular state. And so he doesn't disturb him, he closes the door, and he comes back the next day, still in the same state. Comes back the following day, still in the same state. And now it's the third day, and he's still in the same state. And now Totapuri wants to confirm whether he's left his body and gone, or he's going to be able to stay. And at that point, he's trying to bring him back down from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is what we saw in this verse, right? The energy coming down and the consciousness returning. And there are ways to do it. Apparently, he screamed Hari Om in Ramakrishna's ears. And after several attempts of screaming like that, Ramakrishna's consciousness came back, and he came back from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So Totapuri is completely stunned. How this could have happened? And it is a very hard state to achieve, and it's not something that someone can get to. And so he realizes the amazing ability of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And Totapuri is a monk, and so usually they will not stay in one place beyond 3 days. So that's all he's going to stay. And so after the third day, he is trying to decide to leave, you know. But every time he decides he wants to tell Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that he wants to leave, something is stopping him. He feels that somehow he's not able to say that. Like that, he has stayed in that place for about 11 months now, which is not something that they normally do. So Totapuri then got a very bad stomach ache, a dysentery, and all that. So when he was doing sadhana, the aches and pains became so much that he was not able to focus his mind. And for someone with 40 years of practice, it was just easy. You know, the body never came in the way, the mind never came in the way. But now the body is coming in the way of sadhana. After trying for a few days, Totapuri got very frustrated, and he thought, you know what, this body is in the way of me being able to have that oneness with the ultimate reality, in which case I don't want this body anymore. So he decided to go jump inside the Ganges and give up this body. So in the night, he is going to the Ganga, and he wants to jump in the Ganga, drown himself there. And as he is going there, as he starts walking inside the Ganga, he finds that the water is only ankle deep. So he thought, okay, let me go inside a little bit. He goes inside, and it's still only ankle deep. And then he keeps walking into Ganga, and all the way he's reached the other bank of Ganga, but still the water was only ankle deep. There was no water in Ganga to drown Totapuri. And Totapuri is a very tall man, and he's also huge, and therefore he needs more than ankle deep water in order to drown himself. And this is completely shocking. All of us know how Ganga is, right? It's a pravaham, and it just flows like that. To think that there is only ankle deep water in Ganga, Totapuri is completely stunned. Now he's standing on the other side of the bank, and then he's looking towards the place where he came from. And suddenly, everywhere he sees this form of Mother, Kali. She's showing up everywhere, and he's able to see her laughing, etc. And at that point, he realizes that, what didn't allow him to go, what didn't allow him to drown in Ganga was none other than this Mother. And he realizes that Brahman that he has been connecting with for through his sadhana for all the 40 years is none other than Mother Kali. So even though we say that in the Yoga Margam, in the Advaita Margam, there is only that Brahman, he realizes that is synonymous or one and the same as the Mother that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was worshipping. So Totapuri did not just come there to teach Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he also had to learn something, and that was about the bhakti or the form, and they are all one and the same no matter how we pursue. And that is the power of bhakti. And it is said that before he left, he went and all his pains and aches went away. And before he left, he went and learnt a few bhajans from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So that is the story of how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa attained the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and also a realization for Advaiti that no matter whether you pursue as a Brahman or whether you pursue as Mother or Krishna, all of these paths are leading to the same. Bhakti is a very easy path to raise the consciousness. And it is said that, when Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita went to the forest, it is said that they used to walk in a single pile. So Rama was ahead, and then Sita would be in the middle, and Lakshmana was following. And it is said that Lakshmana would not look up. He was always looking down because Sita was walking in the front. But Lakshmana is so attached to Rama. The sight of Rama is very important for him. And so he used to get a little bit depressed that he was not able to see Rama. And Sita sensed this, and once in a while she would just move away from the path so that Lakshmana can see Rama. And so in this particular context, if you see, Lakshmana represents the Atman, and the Rama represents the Brahman. And the goal is for the Atman to recognize the Brahman or unite with the Brahman. But if you see, Mother Sita is no different from Rama. Rama and Sita are one and the same. And Sita is that form, and it is through her grace that you will be able to see Brahman. So that's why whether we worship God as a form or a sukshma, sthula or sukshma, or we pursue all this yoga path, which is directly pursuing as that the ultimate reality, both of them lead to the same path. And with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he is one who has pursued every single path, and anything that he is stating in his life is not from learning from a book, it is out of experience. He has pursued every single path, be it Vaishnavism or Tantra or Christianity or Islam, and he has come to this conclusion that all paths lead to that one same ultimate reality. We can call it Brahman, we can call it Krishna, we can call it Kali, we can call it Allah, we can call it Jesus, but everything leads to that same path. That's all for today. Thank you.